Well, we're back. We're going to finish up the bottom end of this motor finally. A lot of things have happened. First, I built a relief into this pan. Previously, it looked like this. Initially, I cut this out, and foolishly, I cut across here so that opened up this whole space. That still didn't allow my dipstick to come in cleanly. So I actually took this piece and I tacked it back in at a different angle. I should have just cut up here to start with and hammered it back. But what I found was, most of the time, the dipstick would go to the right place in the oil pan, but not all the time. So I ended up doing this, cutting a piece of metal and rounding it back. And please don't judge my metal work. It's not that great. But the most important thing is it does work. I've got this is the stock dipstick. So if I push the stock dipstick up, it grazes off of that nice surface, and bam, it goes to the same place every time. Doesn't try to go under the windage tray, which is what it was doing before. So I made a little relief space there for it, and bam, it goes in. Now I have a chrome one, but what I found was that this metal on the other one is much stiffer, and it wants to come in flat like that. Excuse me, square like that. So it doesn't want to straighten up right here. It just locks up. This one actually can turn, and so it'll turn to the flat, and that allows it to bend. So this one's going to be the one. It's ugly. I'm going to paint it the engine color, probably, and leave the black handle, and let this be the color of the engine, and we'll go for it. One thing that may come in the future, not sure, but one thing that may come in the future is an aftermarket oil pan. If it does, I'll be sure and get one with a dipstick bung in it. But for now, it works. You can see the two dots for the level. So we're about an inch up off of the windage tray at the top level. And again, this is stock level, so we'll run it to the first dot, or the top dot for sure. We may run it slightly above the top dot, but I'm not worried. I know where the dot is relative to the top of the windage tray. So got that done. Also had some challenges, I think, with the oil pump, high volume, low volume, high pressure, low pressure. What I ended up doing was going back with the stock oil pump. Now the difference between the stock oil pump and the HV, they're both M68 Melling oil pumps. One of them's HV and one of them's not. The HV is maybe 1/4 of an inch taller, but sadly it's enough to give us clearance issues. Oddly, this one even gave us a clearance issue. It was basically when the oil pan was down on the gasket. You can see the gasket in place there. When the oil pan was down on the gasket, it hit. They basically met up at the same time. So I actually I relieved the bottom of the oil pan a little bit. I'll show you that in a minute, just to give it just a little additional clearance. This is the stock oil pickup tube. It's good to go. It's mounted. Everything's ready on the bottom end. I put this oil pan gasket on, and you put the timing cover on. So timing cover's on. Now on the timing cover, you've got a number of accessory bolts, water pump bolts, things that go through and hold the timing cover on the block. What I've done is I've taken a bunch of grade 8 bolts here and washers, and I'm going to go ahead. I haven't done it yet. The gasket's in there, but I haven't RTV'd it, so I'm going to pull this back off in a little bit, RTV it, and then I'm going to make all these bolts up to the proper torque. I think it's 20 foot-pounds, and then let that gasket cure. And then when it comes time to put on other accessories and change out bolts, I'll do that as we go. But I want to make sure I've got good sealing surface all the way around the timing cover plate. And then let's see, I think that's pretty much it. This gasket comes with these alignment pins, which kind of make it nice. Keeps it in place while you put the oil pan on. As I said, we're using the stock oil pan. So since we're using the stock oil pan, the stock pump, and the stock pickup tube, I'm not nearly so worried anymore. Let me get this thing up here. I'm not nearly so worried anymore about my clearance on the bottom of the pickup tube. So Save some peanut butter. I'm not going to do it. These pins help you to line the pump correctly. I mean the oil pan correctly. And so oil pan's on. Gasket's in. Timing covers is on. Again, I'm going to take all this back off and reseal everything correctly with RTV. But basically, this finishes up the bottom end of the motor. Just wanted to let you know what my thinking was, or lack of thinking. Let's look at this. This is the area where I had to relieve the pan. You probably can tell there's a slight bow now right in here. A bow up. Basically, I used my large, soft-headed hammer, and from the inside just basically worked a large bow into it so it doesn't hit. It actually seats down without contacting the oil pump inside. Before, when you would push down to full seating, you would hear it hit. Might have worked okay, but I figure a little bit of relief here never hurt anybody. So anyway, I think we're getting close now to the bottom end being done. I'll just take all this back apart, properly RTV it, get the torque set right, put the pan bolts in, pan bars in, all that, and we'll be good to go. And we're going to flip this motor over and start getting on the push rods. Got to dimensionalize the push rods. They're not stock anymore for a couple reasons. Valve geometry is different than stock. The heads have been decked, small amount. Just a number of, using different kind of rocker, number of factors that will affect the push rod length. So quite sure our stock push rods are not adequate anymore. We're going to throw one of those in there and look at it, and we've got a push rod measuring device, and we'll use it to test and actually get the right dimension so we can get our push rods heading this way. Anyway, that's it for this video, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye-bye.